Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. As always, I'm your host, Hamza Idris. Quite an interesting week it has been so far. For instance, today, Wednesday, there was a rowdy session in the Senate over moves by the central bank governor to redesign higher denominations of the naira. And on Tuesday, President Muhammadu Buhari, all the 22 governors of the ruling APC, ranking members and their supporters kicked off the presidential campaign of their presidential candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in Jos, Plateau State. Tinubu, in his speech, said Nigeria will not collapse under his watch. But the opposition PDP said his sleep on God bless PDP was prophetic and that they would dislodge the ruling party next year. And elsewhere in Lagos State, the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, addressed the Lagos Business School Alumni Association, where he responded to questions regarding reviving the nation's economy, stabilizing the naira, addressing the rising foreign and local debt profile, among other issues. Finally, a new non-partisan political pressure group, the Compatriots, has been formed ahead of the 2023 general election. The group, according to its chairman and former governor of Akwa Ibom State, Obong Victor Atta, was put together to champion national unity and good governance. Atta, during the unveiling of the group in Abuja, said Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed is the deputy chairman, while Prince Tom Isegohi is the chief operating officer. He said the group was born out of the desire to work with relevant socio-political groups and stakeholders to reinvent Nigeria by promoting national cohesion, good governance, peace, and prosperity. On Daily Politics tonight, we'll be speaking with the deputy chairman of the group, Dr. Hakim, who will tell us more about how they came about the group, its members, and about their vision and objectives. Welcome to the program, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Hamza. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, groups, and many groups. But before we go there, maybe I will ask for your take on the rowdy session at the Senate today over, the plan by the central bank to redesign the naira. What is actually your take as a person?
I think it reflects the current state of governance in the country. Clearly, this ought to have been a routine process. If the CBN had the powers to reprint, redesign currencies every 5-6 years, they should have done so a long time ago.
Okay, not now.
This governor has been in power not in 8 years, not in Buhari 7 years. Let me remind you, he was appointed by Jonathan. He's been in power for 10 years. This same governor. The last time they redesigned the naira was almost 16 years ago.
16?
Yes.
And I think according to the CBN Act, it should be between 5 and 8.
Yes, that is the provision. Now, you didn't do that 5 years after that. You didn't do that even within 10 years. So it's natural for Nigerians to ask why. Unfortunately, I think two things have been missing. One is the internal consultations within government. The CBN may have the power to just simply seek approval of the president, and the president has the power to say go ahead.
Yeah.
And then they don't need to consult anybody. But that's the law. The procedure, the best procedure would be to consult everybody who has some say.
Okay, not just because he has the powers to do it, to just go ahead without consultation to determine maybe the timing is good or not.
For instance, since they gave their reasons, security is a major issue here. The fact that they want to improve the banking sector and bring in more money into from the market or in people's homes into the banking sector. And perhaps reduce speculation. Those are key monetary and fiscal issues that are there. It's a lot more than the CBN involved. Now, so whether they have legal rights to be consulted or not, and including the National Assembly. There are a few other things, for instance, that are very sensitive to this. The Ajami thing factor in that.
Yes,
now,
some people say it is actually time to remove it,
yes.
and it was actually...
This is where consultations are important. For instance, all it needed right from the beginning would have been for someone from CBN to say, listen, we are not removing the Ajami writing. In which case they have to...
And nobody has said anything to that effect up
I
till now.
think I had somewhere, they said, no, we're not removing it.
Okay, but they removed, when they did the centenary, you know, redesigning of the naira and all that, people say it was targeted to...
Because of some of these suspicions. And the National Assembly, at some level, somebody ought to have taken the Senate, for instance, into confidence. Or some of these sensitive issues.
Yeah.
You know the Ajami thing has become a major issue.
Yeah.
And it was only waiting for a trigger to...
I also saw a post somewhere saying that all the Nigerian languages should be put there, or the Ajami should be removed, so that nobody will be there.
I think on 50 naira notes, or 5 naira, they're on one or two of the lower denominations.
Yes.
There are 3 languages there.
Yeah.
Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo. And people are saying, well, why only these 2?
Why not the 200?
Yes, why not? No, why only these languages? They are not the only Nigerians. So it's the point is, what happened at the National Assembly today is not entirely surprising.
Okay, it's not surprising. And is it valid to those who are really angry about the timing and all that?
I think we are in those seasons now where everything will become politicized. Everything. And people who you would expect to exercise some level of responsibility and maturity will actually behave in a manner that sort of scratches the boundaries.
So they will keep doing so many arguments on so many issues as we move on towards the 20.
Yes, and this is one of the reasons why I'm sure you are dying to ask us.
Yes, I will. But before then, yes, Tinubu said that Nigeria will not collapse under his watch. Should we give it to him?
You know, I don't know if you watched the program, the Arewa Joint Committee. We spent 2 days.
Yes.
When I say we, 6 groups in the north got together.
Yeah, including Matan Arewa,
Jamia Matan Arewa, ACF, Sir Ahmadu Bello Foundation, Arewa Research and Development Project, ARDP. 6 groups got together and invited the presidential candidates. 6 accepted to come. 5 turned up.
Yeah.
And over a period of 2 days, on a Saturday and Monday, the first day we had 2 candidates, and the next day we had 3 candidates. And we asked them questions. And I was one of the people on the panel that asked the question. And the question I asked Tinubu
yes,
was, if you win, you would be an APC administration over another APC administration, which hasn't done very well in Nigeria.
You told him, you asked him this?
Of course. That was the whole point of the forum. We wanted to put the presidential candidates in a situation where we ask them honest and difficult questions. So
questions that ordinary Nigerians, if they have the opportunity, will ask them.
Yes.
Okay.
And there they are. They answered the question not to us, but to all Nigerians. And we know, coming from the north, that this question is central to us. We have suffered a lot under President Buhari. And we elected our votes on 95% of northern votes in 2015, maybe a little less in 2019. We went to President Buhari. We have paid a huge price for security, our economy, our young people. Virtually the north has been run, we are on our knees. So it was natural to ask President,
so what was his response?
Well, he said, first he said, he's been asked to, he's being pitched against his principal. This is an effort, this is an attempt to pitch him against his president. But in any case, he said, it's a matter of style.
Okay.
That's Buhari, I'm Tinubu. He will do it in his own way, and I'll do it in my way. But the question was more important than the answer. The question really was, please explain to the North and Nigerians what you would do that is different from what President Buhari has done.
Because so it was not a rousy
No.
Yes.
We had a calm, controlled, and very responsible discussion. I asked him a question. What would you do different? What would you say to people who think your party hasn't done well, the president hasn't done well, and you're asking us to give APC another 4 or 8 years?
Yes.
What would you say to them? What would you do different? And he said, well, I would do different things because I'm Tinubu. And and in truth, this is quite likely the largest liability of the APC. Not so much
the legacy
problems
thing
that they have. Yeah, the legacy issue. They will be carrying a huge cross on their shoulders. They have to explain to Nigerians how another 8 years under APC is likely to improve, not necessarily make things worse.
So you think his statement in Jos was significant when he said Nigeria will not collapse? Because many say it was...
Well, it's a gamble. I mean, I think they are gambling. They don't want to go too far. They don't want to move too far away from President Buhari's legacy and records.
Okay.
At the same time, they don't want to hug him too closely.
They don't want to throw him off the bus of sorts?
Yeah, so under the bus. I'm second guessing why, but it's a strategy I think which they're being very careful in designing. He's the chairman of the campaign committee. He's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So perhaps some people feel in the party that he's still a potent force. And so be very careful. Don't move too far away from him. There may be another tendency within the party that is saying, but also don't move too close to his record. Yeah. Because you could get your fingers burnt. Do
you still believe that Buhari's 12 million votes, they are still intact? Maybe they want to now cash on associating with him to get them.
I don't know, to be honest. What I do know is that the North that elected President Buhari in 2015 and 2019 is radically different from the North that will go to the vote to vote in 2023. Radically. I was actively involved in the 2015 elections, and I knew how the North, in particular, was almost entirely Buhari territory. 2019, a little bit less so. 2023,
it's a different scenario.
It's a different scenario. It's a different North. It's a different voting population. I know how much effort we put in convincing Northerners just to go and register. And I'm telling you, it was a big, big effort.
Okay, to convince people.
Yes, this time last year.
So many people will not be convinced.
The southern part of the country was almost overtaking the North.
Okay, maybe finally on this, the PDP, they took advantage of a slip by the APC presidential candidate. He wanted to say APC, God bless APC, he said PAPC or something like that. Is it normal? Because this is not the first time the candidate Tinubu is actually missing the road.
Let's just say that politicians will now take every little morsel and turn it into a meal.
Yeah.
Again, I will take you back to Kaduna.
Yes.
I asked Vice President Atiku, why should the North trust you?
Okay.
It was a question everyone received in advance.
You shared all the questions.
We shared all the questions to all the 6 candidates.
What else, you gave them the answers, or you allowed them to now? Well,
they chose how to answer themselves. But what we do know is that they spent a lot of time in planning their responses because they were difficult questions to ask. When you ask a politician aspiring to be a president, why should the North trust you? In full view of cameras and live coverage, it's the kind of question a good politician would welcome, because you give him an opportunity to say why he's good, why he's better than the others, and why the North should trust him. And he said because I'm better than the others. I know Nigeria better than anybody else. I built bridges. I've done more than the others.
Maybe I married from the southeast.
Yeah,
from
I
the
suppose
southwest.
that is what he meant by the bridges. But then he also said, and I'm from the North, and I don't want the average Northerner to vote for a Yoruba president.
He said this?
Yeah.
But his handlers...
he says, I don't want... the average Northerner does not need a Yoruba candidate or an Igbo candidate. Now that was interpreted as, come and see the builder, the unifier.
He has dismantled the bridge.
Yes, it's now Atiku. So the reason why I'm bringing you this little anecdotes is because we live in that season where everybody is looking for something
Soft
that
spot.
represents a slip. And so when Tinubu wants to say APC and he says a PDP, but it's big news.
Yeah.
But you could say it's silly season, but I wish they would concentrate on more serious things.
But before concentrating on more serious issues, you know, Tinubu, this is not the first time. So people are actually trying to interrogate his state of mind, his health and all that, in order to not trust the country, you know, and then we just land in trouble. When you met him, what was your...
Oh, he was healthy. He was alert. He was healthy. He was articulate. He took a jab at Vice President Atiku during his speech. This is the way we did the 2 hours. We gave every candidate 2 hours, alone, with us.
To drill them?
Yeah, we sent them a number of questions in advance. We said, when you come, we would suggest that you address these issues. We'll identify 10 things that are central to the interests of the North that the next president should look at. And then we would ask you questions on that. And afterwards, there was a panel. And many people were speculating that he wouldn't come.
Oh
yeah, it was a big issue. People say, oh, he's not healthy enough to come. But he turned up. And he came in and did very well by anybody's standard.
But there was this insinuation, before we move on, that actually whatever will happen there was premeditated. And that was why Kwankwaso did not turn up, that you people will actually endorse somebody. They even mentioned name.
No, it was all nonsense. There was no endorsement. They had no evidence that anybody had endorsed, because we asked him, please, in the name of God, if we collected money and you have evidence that we collected money, please expose us. But don't malign us. Don't tell stories about us. You don't have evidence that we have collected anything. We didn't collect a kobo from anybody. We didn't need to collect a kobo from anybody. And we were not the type of people who will be giving money.
You don't need money?
No, we need money, but we would not collect money for that kind of thing. If you saw what happened in Kaduna, the integrity of the entire process spoke for itself.
Yeah.
Which was the reason why all these other presidential candidates stand up. Now, Kwankwaso chose not to come.
After giving commitment. But was there mischief? Was there mischief in his failure to turn up?
It was not true that we had sold out. It was not true that we were going to endorse anybody. We said so before the event. We said so after the event. We said, look, we didn't endorse anybody. And we had no plans to endorse anybody right from the beginning. So whoever told him...
But then how do you think Nigerians will now view the whole program if you didn't at the end of the day say, okay, take this direction?
We explained what it was all about. What it was all about is that we created a forum that was unprecedented in the history of this country. We were the first group, coalition of northern groups, that decided that we would invite candidates and put them under the searchlight and say, address the needs of citizens. What would you do if you become president? And why do you want to become president? Tell us. Not just because you have money. Not just because you want to be president.
Or you just have the ideas,
Yeah, tell us what you want to do. It's never been done. It is a process that begins to hold leaders accountable before they become presidents. It's never been done before. And
but ideally, Doctor, if you pass through those processes to now filter, at the end of the day, ordinarily you should tilt towards certain direct.
Well, our objective is we have a long way to go.
Okay, so this is just the beginning. Maybe.
Yeah, and we said publicly, this is just one stage in the long process. We will continue to monitor these candidates. We'll continue to monitor the process. We'll follow them through their campaign trails. And we will identify those things that we believe are central to the interests of the North and Nigeria. And there are many, many ways in which we can actually influence the thinking of Northerners. And what we got, the feedback we got, was a resounding success.
Okay.
For the first time, we were able to put 5 candidates And another element of success that appears to have gone unnoticed.
Yes.
This is a northern group, 6 groups from the north, set up a platform, invited 6 presidential candidates.
From across the divide.
Yeah.
The candidates, I mean. Yeah.
And you know, out of the 6 of them, 4 were southerners. 4 were from the southern part of the country.
And they respected
we gave
the
them
invitation.
an equal playing field. We didn't tilt anything in favor of anybody. We said, you are aspiring to be the president of the country. We don't know who is going to be the president of Nigeria. Well, we'll give you 2 hours like we're giving everybody. Come and speak to Nigerians. Come and speak to the North. We represent the interests. We speak for the North. We would like to know what you would do about our insecurity, about our poverty, our decaying infrastructure, about education, about out-of-school children, those kind of things. All of them. All of them. Now, other parts of the country would not even welcome a northerner. This time last year, there were people who were saying things like, no party should give a northerner even a platform. And yet, here is the North. Not only in
playing
the North,
key role,
in Kaduna, not only in Kaduna, but in Sadona's house, in our house, providing a level playing field for candidates, 6 candidates, 2 from the North, 4 from the South, saying, come and talk to us.
Yeah.
That for us, that was a major token of the openness of the North. And to date, up till now as we speak, the North has not said this is our candidate.
But when are you going to say this is our candidate?
Why should we say this is our candidate? And why? Why do we need to put a deadline? What
then what are you telling the electorate? They can go either way?
What we're saying is that we should interrogate these candidates. We need to expose their strengths and weaknesses as much as possible. We should ask them questions. We want every opportunity we'll get, or anybody gets, ask them 3 questions. 3 questions. First, ask him, why does he want to become a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in this very difficult time when the country is
what is the motivation?
Why do you want to become a president? Tell us the reasons. Not just that you had enough money to get a ticket of your party, but tell us the reasons why you want to be president. The second thing is, when you do, now we understand why you want to be president, but tell us in specific terms what you would do. About security, about economy, about the youth, about reintegrating the country. And finally, tell us if you've given us a reason for wanting to be president. You've told us your program. Tell us why we should trust you. What is it about you?
There is trust deficit in the country.
What is it about you that we should trust? Everybody can come up with ideas. Everybody can come up with a good reason to be president. But tell us why we should trust you.
And they all gave you answers.
They all gave us answers.
Okay, and now this is where Nigerians are asking questions, which is actually the basis of our discussion today. The compatriots. What is new in the compatriots? Because there you were in Kaduna, various groups from the north interrogating candidates, and now suddenly we saw you on television. The compatriots, what is new?
What is new about the compatriots is that what happened in Kaduna should have been done also at the national level, and there's no one else to do it. What is new about the compatriots is that somebody is now looking after the house and not looking after rooms.
Okay.
What is new about compatriots is that we have people, we have gatekeepers looking at these spaces, and nobody is a gatekeeper for the country. The country has no elite, Hamza. There's nobody specifically looking after the interests of Nigeria as a collective. All this, we are northern, we are southern, we are eastern. You're only eastern because you're part of Nigeria. So, and there is an interest for all Nigerians. Who's looking after Nigerians?
Because people are really worried. Arewa Consultative Forum, Northern Elders Forum, you are the spokesman, you have PANDEV, we have Afenifere, we have IPOP, and all that.
Yes. So these groups now finally decide, look, we fought each other enough. The truth about it is what happens in the southeast.
Because I know how you keep firing, across the Niger.
Yes.
So many
and these groups decided that, okay, we will never reach a point where everything that happens we will all agree, but for goodness sake, let's also remember that we are also Nigerians.
Okay.
And that we are only as safe as the country is safe, and we are only as secure as the country is secure. you can't secure one part of Nigeria and live and imagine that the rest of Nigeria is not secure. You cannot build an economy that is isolated. It doesn't matter how much assets, how strong the Lagos economy is. It depends entirely on also the rest of Nigeria. Lagos drives a huge amount of its revenue and its income because it is the entry point for the rest of Nigeria.
And it could have been any other state.
Yes. So what the most profound thing about the compatriots is that it's the first time that a group of Nigerians, groups first, yielded their people. Because each of these groups, the Northern Elders Forum, ACF, Ohaneze Indibo, Pandef, Afenifere, all of them gave 3 or 4 people to join this group.
You mean the compatriot, that is but at what point, who is the motivation? I mean, at what point the concept, came about?
Our leader, Victor Obong Atta,
okay,
the former governor of
it was his dream.
He's a remarkable individual. He appears to be quite possibly the only Nigerian who has goodwill across the entire country. Because what he did...
Victor Atta?
Yes, Victor Atta.
Because I can't even remember the last time I heard about him until the day you people addressed the conference.
Well, he's been keeping his head a little bit low, but he's been working very hard. He's the only one I know who was able to knock on all the doors. The 2 groups in the north, ACF and Northern Elders Forum, Afenifere, Pandef, and Ohaneze Indibo, gets those doors opened and says, I would like you to give me some of your people. We need to form a group that is Nigerian, that thinks Nigeria. It doesn't mean you stop being Afenifere.
Because that is the question I wanted to ask you.
But let's do both. Let's look at the fraction and let us look at the whole. Let's look at Nigeria as a nation.
Which is the house.
Yes. And all these groups agreed. Every group he went to said, no problem. If it's you, we trust you. And so I am there by virtue of the fact that Northern Elders Forum agreed to yield some of its members. And we also have about 3 or 4 other people in the group.
Okay,
Afenifere gave their own people. Ohaneze Indibo gave their own people. Pandef gave their own people. And ACF gave some of their people. Then we sat down together and said, there are gaps. There were gender issues to be addressed. There were young people issues to be addressed. We needed to define what we were supposed to do. And we did that. And then we brought in a few more people to enhance inclusiveness and make sure that all the key elements in our demography find presence. And that's how we created the compatriots. Then we took a name from our national anthem, Arise, O Compatriots.
Okay, that is how you arrive at the name.
Yes, we said, what shall we call ourselves? And then we had to sit down and say, look, Nigerians would say, who are these people? Haven't we seen enough groups? Haven't we seen enough of these elites going to recycling?
Yes, honestly, many questions were asked that day, that what is new?
We asked ourselves those questions and said, it's natural for people to ask these questions. And we are the same people that we assume, we accept our responsibility for being part of the generations that may have either unwittingly or deliberately created the circumstances under which Nigeria is. So what qualifies us to be also part of the salvation? We're very humble about what we're asking. We are not the solution. We want to be part of the solution. We're tired of just sitting there and watching and just criticizing each other and fighting with each other.
Yeah.
We're tired. We are old men and women. Would like to have governments that we support. Would like to have administrations that will say, you're doing well. Would like to have an administration that when we knock on the door would listen to us because we have some suggestions or ideas. We would like to be the kind of elders that an administration, a president or a governor would say, can we consult? Because everybody in that group has been somebody who has achieved something in their lives. And we have young people who have ambitions to be like us.
Yes.
And we said, okay, if we're going to be discouraged by what Nigerians say, we'll never do anything. So why don't we just go out and earn respect, trust, the trust of Nigerians.
Yeah.
And the most important thing, if you ask me, what would you say to Nigerians now? I would say to Nigerians, please trust us.
But how can Nigerians trust you? Because let me call some names here. I have Hajia Inechiroma, Dr. Kabir Chape, Major General Zamani Lekot, Major General Saleh Maina, Nela Adem Rabana, Honorable Mulikat Akande, Ambassador Godnos Bolade Igali, Honorable Okoyo, others include Dr. Obi Ezekosili, Tunde Bakare, Prince Lee. Now, all these people are partisan in one way or the other.
Yes.
But you call your group non-partisan.
Yes.
So can you help?
The group is non-partisan. We are not in support of any candidate. We will not campaign any candidate. We would not encourage the group to be identified with any candidate.
Okay.
But we will encourage Nigerians to look very critically and elect a person who is the best, possibly the best out of all them.
Okay.
So the group as a group would not operate.
Even though each member has his own persuasion, separate. But when it comes
would you ever find a Nigerian this day without some political opinion?
Maybe me, yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but I don't know if you're editor of the Daily Trust and you have absolutely no political opinion or interest, you must be from some planet. But anyway, the point is, it's perfectly possible to be non-partisan as a group, even though you have interest in terms of one political party or one candidate. It is possible.
Okay.
And this is why I was saying you can both look after Nigeria and its future, as well as be part of parts of Nigeria. There's nothing wrong in protecting the interests of the north or the southeast or the southwest, and protecting the interests of Nigeria.
Okay, I think the takeaway here is that you have the group bringing together maybe partisan members, but you want to isolate them, you want to isolate their partisanship from the aims and objectives of the group. We will ask more questions on what you want to achieve by forming this group. Viewers, we will take a short break now, and when we return, the conversation continues. Don't go away.
There are quite a couple of reasons. Number one, you are dealing with an economy that is currently in free fall.
People are worried about the economy. What are you doing? Nigerians will ask, how do we improve the economy of this country? Young men and women are going all over the country. They are jobless.
Second, you actually cannot move any economy forward for the greater number of Nigerians without making sure that they can feel safe and secure.
What people want to see today is who is capable of stopping this nonsense we call insecurity in this country.
Nations around the world have redefined the notion of national security. For modern countries, energy security, economic security, food security, environmental security, security from a military perspective are all very important components.
While you are still strong and active, you have to try and do what is right for you and for people you represent.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Remember, you can follow the conversation on our various social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. We have in the studio Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed. He's the Deputy Chairman, the Compatriots, a new pan-Nigerian group, if I get it right. And he is also the spokesperson of the Northern Elders Forum. Right. Yes, before we went for the break, we were saying this is a pan-Nigerian group. There are, Nigeria is a big house, many rooms, and all the various groups, ACF, NEF, and all that. They are battling to champion regional agitations and all that. But you want to change the narrative. And you made mention that the vacuum was created when the elite fizzle out. who were the elites before, and how did they keep Nigeria together?
Well, elites are people who are, generally speaking, custodians of both influence and to some extent power. They're people in or out of power, office, and the people who determine the parameters of what is done and what is not done, the interests of the country. They embody it, they survey it, they keep it under surveillance, and they are the torchbearers. They set the path. They determine the direction, or they influence the direction. It sounds a huge amount of work. It's not done overtly. It is usually, it evolves over a long period of time. But there are people who are, you wouldn't even know exist, but they're there. And they are the people who call the shots in many ways. The American establishment is one of them. The American establishment came into play when Trump almost succeeded in doing a coup in the US recently. There are many examples of elites.
Okay,
Nigerian, the military damage to the existence of our elites.
Are you referring to Kaduna Mafia or something like that? Because when we were young, when they say Kaduna Mafia, we had this thinking that is Nigeria.
Well, the Kaduna Mafia was just a group of people who had worked with each other and had known each other very well, had a very
from across the divide.
Yeah, Northerners.
Okay, Northerners.
Northerners who had been exposed in terms of working with other Northerners and with the rest of Nigeria. People who, by accident of history or by circumstances, had acquired a position that allows them access to those who make decisions for Nigeria, and had enough clout to influence some of those decisions.
Yeah.
They lived in Kaduna, most of them. Okay. We didn't have Abuja then. It was Abuja or Lagos, Kaduna or Lagos. And so the southern media, not the northern media, the southern media labeled them the Kaduna Mafia. They had an organic relationship with the military at that time. But there were fractions of the Nigerian elite. And I use the word fractions. There were elites in the southeast, there were elites in the southwest, and in the north. But what the elite is created out of the politics or the economy or the social system, and they are bonded. They are bonded around a number of values, a number of the way things are supposed to be done. Sometimes they get involved, but most of the time they stay away from the everyday active politics, partisan politics. But they are interested in what happens to the country.
Yes.
We haven't had those for a long time.
Yes, but at what point were they broken?
I think that actually the truth about it is that the military, from 1966, the military gradually whittled down and whittled down and whittled down on the elite.
Okay.
Created by politics, but also responsible for the destiny and the direction of regions and peoples. By the time we were talking about 1999, there was still some political elite that gave birth to the Obasanjo presidency. Northern elite, because Northerners literally created Obasanjo. He was rejected by his own people. And Northerners said, no, we would have him, and we would have him.
And they had their way. Is it because of their strength?
Yeah, the party that won the election had a huge dose of Northerners.
Yes.
But that wasn't the strength of the North. The strength of the North was in the voting power of the North and in political unity.
Is it still there?
And, well, we have the voting power. I don't know about the political unity. The North has always been plural. Sometimes we go in the same direction. Sometimes 90% of us go in this direction, 10% of us go in that direction. But we know about the North. So the compatriots is an effort to see if we can create something that looks like a Nigerian elite.
Okay.
Without assuming the arrogance, with the attendant humility that we are saying there's something missing. can we begin the process of building and closing this gap. Let's have a group of Nigerians who have benefited tremendously from when Nigeria was good and working, who are willing to pay something back to Nigeria, give hope, give faith to particularly young Nigerians, that there can be somebody who can actually look after Nigeria rather than looking after bits and pieces. Somebody who can look after generations, younger generations, rather than looking after our own generations. Somebody who can look after children who are not children of the rich or the powerful. Because right now that's all we're doing, we're looking after our own. And somebody who can restore faith and hope that this country can survive. Nigeria can overcome our difficulties. Though this is what we are. In a very humble way, we're saying, trust us to try to see if we can bridge a massive gap that exists.
Okay, that is why you pick the membership from across this regional group. It's about how do you intend to do that?
What you just read, Hamza, every Nigerian, every part of Nigeria is in the compatriots.
Yeah, from the names we have.
Okay, we are elite. Yeah. But elites have their place in society. What we plan to do in the short term, and we have a set of programs, I can tell you.
Okay.
We have focused our energy and resources right now, between now and the elections, to making sure that we have an orderly election.
Okay.
We have a secure electoral process. We secure the electoral process.
Okay.
We facilitate, we work with others to facilitate the conduct of electoral activities under a conducive, secure environment. And that we have an election that is rancor-free. And we will have a transition from the President Buhari administration to another one.
Which will be the second, maybe from an elected president to another elected president?
Yes, hopefully. And that we would have no quarrels, we would have no violence, we would have no disputes, the type of disputes that can destroy or damage the country. That's what we're trying to do. So right now we are engaging the electoral and the political process. The electoral process is a subset of the political system.
Okay.
And the real threat is not the electoral process. We have implicit faith in INEC. We believe the INEC, as it is presently constituted, is serious, is credible, its integrity, we believe in it, and we believe that they can actually deliver a credible election. What we're worried about is the political environment that may or may not allow that election to take place. So we're trying to influence the political environment.
Then how do you intend to do that? Are you going to convoke a short conference or something like that?
Well, we don't have time for a short conference, and to be honest, under this intensely political environment, it will be difficult to do that. What we will do, for instance, is we plan to meet with the chairman and commissioners of INEC to lend support to the efforts made by the Peace Committee, commendable efforts of the Peace Committee.
Because I wanted to ask how you are going to relate with the Abdul Salami Hookup Committee.
Well, we support them, and we will continue to find ways in which we can reinforce. Just 2 days ago, in your paper, I saw a full-page advertorial, very strongly worded advertorial, where the Peace Committee is warning again that politicians are not abiding by the peace accord which they signed. Now, we've given ourselves the task of reminding them, chasing them around and saying, listen, you guys signed it.
You signed the peace accord.
Can you please respect?
Because it's like they have forgotten about it. The way they are hurling insults, the way they are attacking each other at campaign rallies.
And denying responsibility for their followers. Because what happens in politicians say, oh, we're not responsible for this, it's just followers. If you cannot influence your followers, who would worry about whether you can lead this country? For us, that's the dividing line.
Maybe they don't want the followers to accuse them of reprimanding them. And that is
I don't know which kind of follower will do something that will attract you more hostility than support. Okay. I would not have, if I'm a politician, I would not want that kind of follower. I would run away from those kind of people. So we would support a peaceful transition between now and the elections. We will support the electoral process. We will reinforce INEC. We will support INEC. We will encourage INEC to continue to do what it is doing. We will meet with the candidates. We plan to meet with the candidates.
Okay. Apart from, meaning that this one is at the national level, apart from what you did in Kaduna.
Yes, this is the national thing.
So you will ask them national questions?
No. That's not the point of this meeting.
Okay.
The point of the meeting is to remind them as responsible Nigerians, asking Nigerians to trust them, that let's work to make sure that there is Nigeria before we reach this election. That we don't bring the house down in our contest to have Nigerians vote for us.
But in Kaduna, you didn't say you will, endorse one candidate. But now at the compatriots level,
we are not endorsing anybody. We are not about endorsing anybody.
Okay,
what we're endorsing is Nigeria.
But don't you think there will be conflict? Absolutely. Because some of the members you have, they have already tilted towards some candidates.
Everybody has tilted around some candidates. We are tilting towards Nigeria now.
So it's about survival of Nigeria.
Yes, it's about survival of Nigeria. In the short term, we want to survive between now and the elections. You can see every day that the campaigning is already representing a serious threat to the country.
Yeah.
The way politicians behave, the way their supporters behave, it worries us. Can we get to February 2023 with this country intact, the way we are going? The very, very divisive rhetorics, the frightening scare, the violence that goes on, barriers going up. You can't campaign here. You can't. If you are here, you get attacked. This is not the way we should trust it. The country has enough problems.
Yes, you are the vice chairman of these compatriots. Obon Victor, the chairman. How sure are you some of these members will actually veer off the track as we move on towards the election?
I wouldn't be part of anything unless I absolutely believe that it's in the interest of this country.
Okay.
And I can tell you, every member of this group is thoroughly committed to the goals and objectives of the compatriots. And what is there to veer over? Like I said, the compatriots is made up of Nigerians who already hold views and opinions, including political opinions. That is not a problem. When it becomes a problem is where the entire compatriot is hijacked to serve a narrow goal.
And you will resist that?
We would not accept it.
But how can you resist that?
Well,
going by the way the candidates are actually desperate to get the buy-in of critical stakeholders.
Well,
they can do anything.
These critical stakeholders are also Nigerians who recognize the fact that this group is needed. Every candidate needs this group to remain intact. Because, like I said, we will be like the referees. We've given ourselves a whistle. We'll blow the whistle against any candidate whose campaigning or conduct represents a threat to this country.
Yeah.
We would call out any candidate that we believe is deliberately inciting violence or is threatening the conduct of free, credible, and fair election. We will protect Nigeria, because if we don't have a successful transition, every Nigerian will pay a price for it. Anybody who sabotages this election is an enemy of this country.
And there are indicators that some people are desperate to sabotage the election. Let me give an instance. Today is exactly 100 days. Many people were not aware until when the INEC chairman released a statement reminding Nigerians of the dangers ahead if care is not taken. Do you share his own fears also and expectations?
Absolutely. I share his worries.
Well, he issued a statement,
Yes, we like I said, we believe everything INEC is doing is correct, is in the right direction, including these periodic warnings to Nigerians to be aware. Look, INEC can only conduct an election. So much of what influences that ability to do the elections is not in INEC's hand. INEC cannot influence the security environment. It can, up to a point, caution politicians to behave responsibly, but it can't compel them. It can lay the rules, but it can't. Supporters have to be reined in by politicians. And there are politicians who believe unless some level of violence and intimidation is tolerated, they're not winning anything. And what we're saying is that please allow us to have a peaceful and orderly transition and a credible election so that we can transit between now and 2023. And everybody is a winner here. No Nigerian will gain. from a chaotic election that ends up being massively disputed. Nobody will gain from the kind of violence that will be unleashed by every candidate. If you stop me from campaigning in one part of the country because of my ethnic group or my party, I also come from another part of the country. And
yes, the INEC chairman, he made one significant point, which we have here. He said, as I have said repeatedly, the Commission's allegiance is to Nigeria. Our loyalty is to Nigerians who want free, fair, credible, and verifiable elections supported by technology, which guarantees transparent accreditation and upload of polling units results from citizens to view in real time on election day. It is for these reasons that the bimodal voter accreditation system and INEC result viewing portal were introduced. There is no going back on the deployment of beavers and IRF for the 2023 general elections. In Hausa, they said, in Barami, you know, it is the blind man. You know, somebody telling him that there is no ditch in front of you. Yes, and then the blind man said, if there is no ditch, why are you telling me? Why are you telling me?
Because there are ditches.
Okay.
And it's okay. This is the right thing to do, to warn Nigerians. We have done as much as we can. Nigerians have to police the process. Nigerians have to support it. You can't be indifferent. Nobody should be neutral. As far as the 2023...
Nobody should be neutral.
Nobody.
Everyone must have interest.
As far as the success of these elections are concerned, because 2023 is a defining election for this country. And I really mean it. It will define...
And tomorrow it will be 99 days, next is 98.
Yes,
so before we know.
the days are going. This country can sink deeper into despair and desperation, or we can use the elections as a turning point to begin to improve that. And a good election, a credible election, is the solid foundation for good governance.
Yeah, but where are the threats actually coming from in a minute? Because somebody went to court in, was it in Imo, to stop the use of beavers and the real-time...
Those people will always be there. The real
but who are they? Do you know them?
Yeah, they are not secret.
Can you give me a name?
I can't remember, but I know that I was in INEC at one time.
Yes, that's why I'm asking you this.
They always exist. They are always there. Their job is to just go out there.
Could it be those around the president
who
I don't really want? Okay.
I don't think so. I think there will always, that is the law. The law allows them, the Nigerian citizen, to challenge anything that he or she thinks represents a problem or an illegality.
Okay.
The real threat comes from the failure of candidates and their parties to rein in violence and activities that threaten the election process itself. The real threat comes from the failure of this administration to improve security of ordinary citizens who may want to go out and vote. For us in the North particularly, we are very worried about how many communities may not be able to go out and vote because the North has not been secured enough to allow people to leave.
And you want something to be done between now and February, so that every other person...
Absolutely. We want INEC to deploy 100%.
Okay.
We want their officials to go to Zamfara.
Okay.
We want them to go to Binnungwari.
Okay.
We want them to go to Borno.
All right.
We want every northerner to cast his vote. In fact, we want every Nigerian to go out. In the southeast, we want complete freedom and unhindered access to the polling process by every...
Thank you very much. Finally, will the compatriots say vote for Mr. AOB?
No, unlikely.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hakim Baba, Deputy Chairman, the compatriots and spokesperson of the Northern Elders Forum, for your informed perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you. We hope you will honor our invitation next time.
Thank you.
Viewers, this is where we come to the end of today's edition of the program. Hoping you enjoy it. Thank you for watching. I'm Hamza Idris.